Greetings everybody, coming to you from my 2012 Mercedes-Benz S350 Bluetec diesel. So I have had this car since, if I recall correctly, it was 92,885. So we're up to 98,227, so 5,400 miles. I'm in the middle of a road trip, so got probably a couple hundred miles to go, and just wanted to share for those who are interested in what all this car has needed or needs. So the only repair I've had to do so far was the right rear tail lamp assembly. I had to replace that because it was starting to go on the fritz. You can't just replace a bulb, you have to replace the whole thing. It was about 250 bucks. It was pretty easy for me to do myself, so I did that job. I'm hit or miss on what I do by myself and what I have a mechanic or typically the dealer do. I've got a really good dealer around me that does good work, and they're not insanely expensive, and they're honest. A lot of Mercedes dealers are not that way, but I got a pretty good one that I deal with. So there's this car has accumulated a little bit of a laundry list of things that need to be done. So years ago, I used to say that keeping an S-Class Mercedes on the road will cost you about $2,000 a year. Now, that was a long time ago, so I think that number should be revised for today's dollars, and we can call that $3,000 a year. I think that would be a safe estimate. We'll see over time. And I'm sure, miles is going to play into that as well. So this car has the OM642 engine in it. It has some known quirks. There's a lot of information out there. One of the reasons I bought this particular one was because the guy before me had dropped about $4,000 into it for service. He had the transmission oil and filter done. He had the brake fluid done. He had a full service done. Now, the dealer he had it serviced at, Mercedes-Benz of Albuquerque, I believe it is. I'm going to drop this down a little bit here. They have serviced the car a few times, and I looking at the repair records, they're 50-50 on using the wrong oil in it. And it's always been a contention of mine that if you use the wrong oil in one of these diesels, you'll mess it up. So I don't know if they actually did use the right oil and then just marked it wrong. Now, as part of the AEM, the emissions warranty thing, or the emissions modification thing, they changed the DPF. So I think, using a gasoline engine oil will poison a DPF. But there's only 4,000 miles of the wrong oil on this particular new DPF. And then the guy had the oil changed at, what was it, 92.6 with the correct oil at a different shop. So the car currently has the correct oil in it, the .52 spec. It's funny, can't remember the first three digits of that. I'm sure somebody will know. But so yeah, the other reason is the oil cooler seals was actually done under warranty in this car at about 36,000 miles, and they replaced them with the purple seals. There hasn't been any leaks since then from them. The prior owner also had a vacuum pump leaking some oil that he had replaced. shortly before I bought the car, actually. And then the only thing I can find leaking now is, I don't know exactly what this hose is, but there's a hose that screws into kind of the bottom of the engine and goes toward the front. I don't know if there's like an external oil cooler or something like that. I haven't really researched that goes in the front of the car, but it seems like the part of the hose where it goes from metal to whatever that black material is, at that junction there is starting to seep a bit. Other than that, I don't think it's really leaking anything. That's gotten to the point where it would leave a couple drops in my garage. Now, I wiped it down a little bit just to make sure that's where it's leaking. I'm going to check it again after about 1,000 miles and see if there's like some drips of oil under that hose. It's certainly not critical. I did check after 100 miles, and it was still pretty dry. I'm going to try to get the part number off of that hose just so I can have it. It looks like it's pretty easy to get to, something I could probably do myself next time I change the oil. So the laundry list I was talking about that I am going to get addressed, it really actually has nothing to do with the diesel engine. It's just the W221. It's a rather complicated car. I never really expected it to be reliable. You don't buy one of these cars if you're looking for a reliable car. You buy one of these cars because you're looking for the driving experience. People say all the time you should never own one of these out of warranty. Well, I mean, that's not really true. By now they've depreciated to the point. I mean, the S350 I just had, the 2008 with 108,000 miles on it. It was a gorgeous car. I've got some videos on it. I paid $6,500 for that thing. So they're getting cheap now, so that you buy the car for pennies on the dollar. And yes, it will cost you some money to keep it going, but in my opinion, well worth it, as long as you get one that was maintained and sorted. All right, so anyway, to go through the list of what I am getting taken care of. The keyless go on the driver's door handle doesn't work, and I think that's also tied to another strange issue that I have, and it actually did bring a code up for this that I didn't quite understand, but it sort of seemed like it tied in something with the can. And when you open the door, it won't turn on the instrument cluster and the dome light and all that. So it's I think the combination of the door handle and whatever is causing it not to totally recognize that you're opening a door, and that never happens on the rear door. When I open the rear door, the dome lights light up and whatever. So I am going to have the keyless go fixed on the driver's door. I really want to get this car pretty much back to 100% functionality, so that's one thing. The other thing that it's always done since I've had it, and it may be getting a little bit worse, is under certain circumstances when I'm hitting a bump, I get a loud bang from the front. And in other circumstances where I think it should do it, it doesn't. So it's kind of weird. I've been under the car just kind of looking around. I didn't see anything obvious, but and it just had thrust bushings replaced, so it's probably something else, like maybe upper control arms or something like that. So I'm going to have the dealer do that. A lot of that stuff I don't mess with, especially because it may actually require an alignment after the fact. So yeah, I'm going to have that done. Now, when I called, they said there were a couple, I guess this lane ends. They said there were a couple, she called it recalls, but it's it's not really a recall. It's a service campaign that I think they're going to cover related to the AEM. Something about injector coding and programming something else. I don't know. We'll see what they say. As long as they don't charge me for that. It said something like the injectors may not be coded to the car properly, and it may cause rough running. Which, when I first bought the car, you can see the first video I made of this car accelerating to get onto the highway. It sounded a little weird and shifted a little weird, and I wonder if it had anything to do with that. But of course, I think the car sat for a long time, and then when I've been regularly driving it, it seems to have cleared that up. It's been running fine ever since then. Yeah, and I have something else on the list too that I can't remember. So the door handle, the banging in the suspension, the service campaigns. Oh yeah. My parking brake doesn't work anymore, and I looked into that. There's this contraption that has like several cables coming off of it, and you really have to tear a lot of things apart to get that off of there. And there's a release cable by the fuel filler door, and I just thought, that literally and figuratively looks like a can of worms job that I don't want to mess with. So I'm gonna have the dealer do that too. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I'm having the dealer do right now. I did pull codes, and the only code that didn't clear was the one that I was describing earlier with the when you open the door, it doesn't turn on the dome light. I can't remember exactly what it said, but they didn't really strike me as a big deal. But we'll see what happens when they replace the keyless go handle, and I think that's going to actually involve paint, because I think they would get the thing from Germany and it will come in unpainted. So I think they would probably have to send the door handle to the body shop to get it painted, and then install it on the car. So I'm estimating just those few things are probably going to cost between $3,000 and $4,000, and this car is absolutely worth it. A lot of people may disagree with me, but you're never going to be able to buy another diesel S-Class Mercedes brand new in the U.S. And if you were able to, it would be every bit of $120,000. So the whole thing of $3,000 to $4,000 a year to keep this one on the road is still going to be far cheaper than any new S-Class, not even counting the depreciation. Holy cow, these things depreciate like you wouldn't believe. In fact, the newer ones, I had someone looking on Mannheim, and after about 2 years, while still fully under warranty, they depreciate by about half or more. Like, we're talking like 40,000 mile examples going for like 60, 65, maybe 70 for higher options. And those cars were 120 to 140 new, depending on the options, like S580s and whatever. So yeah, this is the way to do it. Get one of these that's 10 years old, as long as you know what you're getting into and can properly vet the car. I did get this one sight unseen, but I talked to the seller and got some service history and kind of understood what I was looking at. You can't always cover everything like that. Like that bang going over bumps, I didn't know about that until I got the car. But I did expect there to be a couple things, but and there was no real big surprises. And you know, it's not left me stranded. It's been super reliable, just from the driving perspective, and I think it will continue to be so. Of course, it's going to have this and that go wrong with it, but that's okay. The driving experience is worth it. All right, I believe that is it for the update on this car. Have a great day.